What seemed healthy almost sent me to the hospital. I thought I was doing the right thing. For years, I included that vegetable in my meals almost every day. I boiled it, baked it, sometimes I even ate it cold. I had always heard it was good for cholesterol, that it helped with digestion, and that it was low in calories. And that reassured me. It made me feel I was taking care of my health the way I should. But everything changed a few months ago. I started feeling more tired than usual. I woke up without strength, with a heavy feeling throughout my body. Sometimes I had mild but constant nausea. I didn't think much of it. I figured it was part of getting older. After all, I've been past 60 for a while. Then came the stomach pain and the dizziness. One day my blood pressure dropped so much that I ended up in the emergency room. They ran tests, studies, ultrasounds, and the curious thing was that all the results came back within normal range. But I wasn't well. Something was hurting me, and not even the doctors could see clearly what it was. Until one of them, a young doctor, asked me a question I'd never been asked before. Is there any food you eat frequently, every day, or almost every day? And that's when it clicked. That vegetable, the one I'd always thought was harmless. After digging deeper, I discovered that for people over 60, certain foods considered healthy can become dangerous, and in some cases, they can be more toxic than alcohol if we're not careful. That's why I decided to make this video, to tell you which vegetable it is, why it can be dangerous, and how you can tell if it's already affecting you. Because nobody tells you this, but the body changes with age, and what used to help you can now harm you. And if you're over 60, this matters much more than you think. Before we go on, I want to ask you something. How old are you? And from which country are you watching this? Leave it in the comments. I'd love to know. How can a vegetable be toxic? When we hear the word poison, we rarely think of something that comes from the earth. A vegetable, a cultivated plant, something that grows under the sun, in contact with nature. In our minds, that's associated with health, with well-being, with what's pure and necessary for living well. And for years we've been told that more vegetables means better health. But the truth is that not everything natural is harmless, and not all vegetables are good for everyone, especially not for those of us who've already passed 60. You see, many vegetables contain what scientists call anti-nutrients. These are compounds plants produce as natural defenses, because just like animals, plants don't want to be eaten. They don't have claws or teeth, but they do have chemistry. And some developed substances that interfere with mineral absorption irritate the gut, cause inflammation, or act as toxins if consumed in excess, or if the body is already weakened. Now, in a young and healthy person, the body can tolerate many of those substances without much trouble. But when we cross a certain age, sometimes 60, sometimes earlier, the body becomes more sensitive to what we eat. Metabolism is no longer the same, digestion slows down. The kidneys and liver, which filter and process what enters the body, begin to lose efficiency. Even the gut microbiota, those good bacteria that help process food, changes over the years. And here's where many people go wrong. They keep eating as if their body hadn't changed, as if foods had the same effect at 30 as they do at 70. Some vegetables can be wonderful for a young, active person with robust digestive health, but they can be a dangerous burden for someone with lower defenses, a slower liver, an imbalanced gut flora, or someone taking several medications a day. And it's not an immediate reaction like classic poisoning. This kind of toxicity is cumulative. It builds little by little. One day you're fine. Then you feel a bit more tired, a joint aches, you get gassy, your stomach bloats, your blood pressure drops, you struggle to sleep. And the hardest part, nobody suspects the vegetable. Not you, not your doctor, not your children, because who's going to blame an eggplant, or a tomato, or a potato? But the body speaks. And when we listen closely, it starts to show signs. In this video, we're going to focus on a family of vegetables that many people eat every day without realizing they may be harming their health. The nightshades. They're plants that have one thing in common. They all contain a type of compound that, if not well digested or consumed in excess, can become toxic. And among them is the star vegetable of this video, the one that almost sent me to the hospital, the one many consider light and healthy, but that in old age can do more harm than a glass of alcohol. From here on, I'll tell you everything you need to know to protect your body, understand these silent signals, and make choices that suit this stage of life. Because eating well doesn't mean eating like before, it means eating for what your body needs now. Shall we continue? The hidden enemy, nightshades. There's something curious many people don't know about certain vegetables we eat every day. They belong to the same family of plants that for centuries was viewed with suspicion. A botanical family with a dark past, even a deadly one, and which even today, if not understood, can do more harm than good. We're talking about nightshades. Maybe the name doesn't sound familiar, but I'm sure you've eaten them more times than you can count. They're in almost every cuisine in the world. They show up in home-cooked meals, family recipes, Sunday lunches, and quick dinners. They're so common we never question them. Nightshades include tomato, pepper, eggplant, and of course potato. There are others less known, like ají, chili pepper, or even tobacco, which curiously belongs to the same family. But today we'll focus on just one, eggplant. Yes, that purple vegetable with glossy skin and an elongated shape, often associated with Mediterranean dishes, roasted salads, gentle stews, or light meals. For a long time, I myself believed it was a healthy option. It has no fat, it has no sugar, it's low in calories. What could go wrong? The problem lies in what we don't see, a natural compound called solanine. Solanine is a chemical substance these plants produce as a defense mechanism. It's their way to protect themselves from fungi, insects, and animals that want to devour them. Nature gave them that tool to survive. But when humans eat them, especially under certain conditions, that substance can become a problem. Solanine doesn't easily break down with cooking, and in certain people it can cause significant side effects: abdominal pain, nausea, internal inflammation, a feeling of weakness, joint problems, and in more extreme cases, neurological symptoms like confusion or dizziness. Young bodies usually tolerate it better. But after 60, when the digestive system is no longer as efficient, and when we might be taking medications that burden the liver, solanine can build up and cause subtle, silent, persistent harm. And the most curious thing is that we already knew this. For centuries, nightshades were feared. In the Middle Ages, for example, many people avoided eggplant because they linked it to mental illness or violent behavior. They didn't understand the chemistry, but they noticed something was off in those who ate it frequently. In fact, the original name of eggplant in some ancient Arabic tongues meant the fruit that drives you mad. In North Africa and parts of Europe, for centuries its frequent consumption was believed to unhinge the mind and weaken the body. Of course, today we're not talking about madness or superstition. Today we're talking about something more concrete: chronic inflammation, digestive discomfort, general malaise. All of that can come from a source we consider innocent, like a purple vegetable on the plate. And if you're thinking nothing has ever happened to you from eating eggplant, I get it. I thought the same, until my body started sending signals I ignored until they became impossible to hide. What solanine does to your body after 60. One of the hardest parts of aging isn't the passage of time. It's that we start to feel different, and we don't always know why. We ache here, we're bothered there, we sleep poorly, food sits heavier, we feel stiffness in our hands, pressure around the waist, a burning in the stomach. And most of the time, we blame it on one catch-all phrase: it's just age. But not every discomfort is an inevitable consequence of time. Sometimes what we think is age is the cumulative effect of what we're eating. And when it comes to solanine, that compound found in eggplant and other vegetables from the same family, the effects on an older body can be deeper than we imagine. Let's look at it calmly. Digestive problems. One of solanine's first effects is gastrointestinal. In many older adults, it causes bloating, gas, acidity, and slow digestion. Solanine irritates the lining of the intestine and, in sensitive bodies, can disrupt the balance of the good bacteria that help digest food. Has it happened that after eating something light, like baked eggplant, you feel fuller, more inflamed, or more uncomfortable than if you'd eaten meat. That could be a sign. Internal inflammation. Solanine is an inflammatory substance. Not in everyone, but in many, especially people with arthritis, autoimmune issues, or a history of chronic inflammation. As we age, our systems become more vulnerable to those small triggers. Inflammation doesn't always feel like direct pain. Sometimes it shows up as overall heaviness, brain fog, constant fatigue. And more worryingly, it can feed other silent processes, like heart or nervous system disease. Joint pain. One of the most reported effects among older people sensitive to solanine is joint pain. Knees that hurt more when getting up, fingers stiff in the morning, a sense that the body doesn't lubricate well. Some research suggests that in predisposed people, solanine can heighten joint sensitivity and worsen arthritis symptoms. And the worst part is nobody suspects the food. We think it's age, the weather, or simple wear and tear. Interference with medications. Here's a point many don't know. Solanine doesn't only affect organs and tissues, it can also interfere with the absorption and effect of certain medications, especially those that impact the nervous system, blood pressure, or digestion. Older adults who take multiple drugs daily could be potentially reducing their effectiveness without knowing it, just by routinely eating this vegetable. It's not a direct interaction like grapefruit, but a subtle interference that can throw off the body's overall balance. Studies that back this up. A study published in the journal Inflammation Research observed that people with arthritis reported significant improvement after eliminating nightshades from their diet for several weeks. Another study in older adults with chronic digestive disorders found that reducing eggplant, tomato, and potato improved symptoms in more than 50% of cases. And although many physicians still don't see it as a key factor, more and more specialists in functional nutrition and integrative medicine recommend temporarily removing these vegetables in older adults with non-specific symptoms to gauge their real impact. The truth is, the body doesn't lie. It's just that sometimes it speaks a language we don't fully understand. And if we start listening more closely, we may discover that some of what makes us feel bad has been on our plate for years. When health starts to worsen without explanation. A few months ago, I heard Clara's story. A simple, kind woman, the sort who always smiles even when times are tough. She is 73 years old, lives alone since she was widowed, and considers herself pretty healthy for her age. She walks every day, reads a lot, tends her garden, and cooks for herself. But for more than a year, Clara began to feel different. Nothing serious, at least at first. First came a fatigue that wouldn't go away. She'd sleep 8 hours and already feel exhausted. She thought she was being lazy, or that it was normal for her age. Then came a dull ache in her legs, especially in her knees. Morning stiffness, as if her body refused to start. Later, her abdomen began to swell every time she ate. She felt gas, pressure in her stomach, and had to lie down after lunch because the discomfort wouldn't let her carry on with her day. Clara went to several doctors. They ran tests. Everything was within normal range. They told her it could be stress, that she should stretch, that maybe it was an intolerance to gluten or cheese. They prescribed vitamins, joint supplements, pills for gas, but nothing seemed to help. Until one day, during a chat with a nutritionist, she was asked a simple question. "Is there any food you eat almost every day?" Clara thought, and without hesitation she answered, "Eggplant. I love it. I bake it, stuff it, fry it in olive oil. I eat it every other day and have for years." The nutritionist looked at her quietly and said, "Let's try cutting it out completely for 2 weeks. Just 2 weeks. Then we'll see." Clara agreed, though skeptical. How could something so healthy be hurting her? But she made the effort. She replaced eggplant with other vegetables, squash, pumpkin, cooked broccoli. Nothing else. She didn't start new medications. She didn't change her routine. And the results surprised her. By day 3, the bloating had dropped noticeably. Her abdomen felt lighter. By day 5, she started sleeping better. By 1 week, the morning stiffness eased. She could get up without feeling her knees creak like old hinges. By day 14, Clara went back to the nutritionist with tears in her eyes. I never thought a vegetable could be poisoning my body little by little. I got so used to feeling bad that I'd forgotten what it was like to feel well. This story isn't unique. In fact, it's more common than you'd imagine. Many older adults suffer vague, persistent symptoms that drag on for years. Fatigue, chronic pain, digestive discomfort, mood changes, lack of mental clarity, and they chalk it up to age. But the truth is that many times, the body is reacting to something it gets every single day without a break. So one of the most powerful and simplest pieces of advice I can give you is this. Watch your body, listen to its signals, and experiment with small changes. You don't need an extreme diet, nor do you need to stop eating everything you like. Just pick one food you eat often, remove it for 2 or 3 weeks, and observe. If you feel better, your body has given you the answer. Because with age, the key isn't eating more or less, it's eating mindfully, knowing which foods nourish you and which are quietly draining your energy. And if you suspect eggplant or any vegetable in the nightshade family, it's worth running the experiment. But wasn't eggplant good for cholesterol? You're probably already asking yourself, but I always heard eggplant is good for the heart, for cholesterol, for losing weight. How can it be toxic? The answer is very simple, though not very popular. One thing doesn't cancel out the other. Eggplant does have beneficial properties, that's true. Various studies have shown it contains antioxidants like niacin, which helps protect cells from oxidative damage. It's also rich in fiber, which can contribute to better digestion and to maintaining stable blood sugar levels. Plus, it's low in calories, contains no fat, and has some capacity to reduce bad cholesterol levels when eaten appropriately. So yes, in theory, eggplant can be an ally for cardiovascular health. But that doesn't mean it's good for everyone or for every stage of life. Here an old principle comes into play that many forget. The difference between a remedy and a poison lies in the dose and in the body that receives it. For a young person with liver and kidneys working at 100%, with a healthy gut flora, without chronic inflammation, and without medications overloading the system, eggplant can be a healthy choice. It can even help in specific diets to manage cholesterol or regulate digestion. But the body at 30 is not the same as at 70, and it doesn't respond the same either. With age, the organs in charge of filtering toxins, like the liver and kidneys, lose efficiency. The intestinal mucosa becomes thinner and more vulnerable to irritation. The microbiota, that universe of good bacteria living in the gut, loses diversity. And most importantly, the body's capacity to adapt to small mistakes decreases. What used to be tolerated without issue now leaves a mark. And while solanine, the natural compound in eggplant, isn't deadly in small amounts, it can cause cumulative silent effects in a weakened or simply more sensitive organism. Imagine you have a fragile plant that needs care. You wouldn't give it the same sun, water, or fertilizer you'd give a strong, young, freshly grown one. Your body at this stage is like that plant. It requires more precise, smarter nourishment adapted to its new conditions. So is eggplant bad? Number. But it can be risky if you're over 60, you take medications every day, you suffer from arthritis, digestive problems, or chronic inflammation. You've noticed discomfort with no apparent cause after eating certain vegetables. The problem isn't the vegetable itself. It's failing to recognize that your body no longer needs the same things it did before. And if you still doubt, you can run a simple test. Stop eating eggplant for 3 weeks. Just 3 weeks. Notice how you sleep, how you digest, how your joints feel. Sometimes your body is asking for relief, but it doesn't know how to shout it. You just need to listen. Is this vegetable hurting you? Do this simple test. At this point, you may still have a reasonable doubt. How can I know if this vegetable is really affecting me? What if nothing happens in my case? That's completely valid. And that's why I want to share a simple, practical, risk-free method you can try at home without spending a single cent. A small test that can help you find out whether your body is reacting negatively to eggplant or to other similar vegetables without you having realized it until now. This method is called elimination and controlled reintroduction. Step 1. Elimination. For 3 full weeks, remove eggplant entirely from your diet. No roasted salads with eggplant, no breaded eggplant, no pickled eggplant, no stews or mixes that might contain it. If you want to be more thorough, you can also remove other common nightshades such as tomato, pepper, potato, ají or chili pepper. But if that's too hard, just cutting eggplant will already be very revealing. Step 2. Observation. During those 21 days, watch how your body reacts. You can use a notebook or even the Notes app on your phone. Write down things like, how do you feel after meals? Are you less bloated? Do you sleep better? Do you feel less achy when you wake up? Is your energy more stable during the day? Are your digestions faster or lighter? You don't need extreme changes to notice a difference. Sometimes a single meal without inflammation is already a sign. It's important not to introduce other major changes to your diet or routine during those 3 weeks so your observations stay clear. Step 3. Reintroduction. After completing the 3 weeks, you can do a controlled reintroduction test. Pick a day when you feel well and symptom-free. Prepare a simple dish with eggplant, nothing else. For example, eggplant slices baked with olive oil and salt, without other ingredients that could confuse the results. Eat it and wait. Over the next 24 to 48 hours, watch your body closely. Do gas or abdominal discomfort appear? Do your joints ache again? Do you sleep worse that night? Does your energy change, up or down? If symptoms appear that had disappeared during the eggplant-free period, you have your answer. Your body is reacting. This isn't about fear or about eliminating things forever. It's about making conscious choices and knowing which foods serve you well at this stage of life. A final tip. Keeping a small observation diary can be a very powerful tool. We often think our memory is enough, but details fade. Write how you feel, even if it's just 1 line a day. Over time, you'll see patterns that previously went unnoticed, because when you pay attention, the body speaks more clearly. The big mistake: thinking plants never harm. There's a phrase we hear over and over when we talk about food: as long as it's natural, it can't hurt. And while it sounds nice, while it seems logical at first glance, that phrase can lead us down very dangerous paths, especially after a certain age, because natural isn't always synonymous with safe. And plant-based foods, even if they grow from the earth, without labels or factories, can also have negative effects if we don't understand them. Surprising examples. Take spinach, for instance. Green, fresh, full of nutrients, iron, vitamins, but also very rich in oxalates, a substance that, in excess, can contribute to kidney stone formation. Many older adults, by consuming large amounts of raw spinach in smoothies or salads, develop urinary problems or lower abdominal pain, never imagining the culprit was that seemingly harmless leaf. Or think of rhubarb, a plant widely used in baking in some countries. Its stalk is edible, yes, but its leaves are highly toxic, even deadly in large amounts. Another curious case is raw kale, also known as collard kale. It's a trendy health vegetable, and it certainly has many benefits, but it can also disrupt thyroid function if eaten excessively and uncooked, especially in people with hypothyroidism, a common condition among older adults. The truth, it's not black or white. The key isn't labeling foods as good or bad, but understanding that everything depends on the body, the context, and the amount. A medicinal plant can heal or intoxicate. It all depends on how it's used, when, and in what dose. In fact, most medicines come from plants. Morphine comes from the poppy, aspirin from white willow. Many cancer treatments are extracted from shrubs, roots, or flowers. But does that mean we can go into the garden and chew them freely? Of course not, because even the natural, when not respected, can harm. The rigidity trap. Many older adults fall into a trap without realizing it. They cling to certain foods as if they were absolute salvation. I eat this because it's natural. A health magazine recommended this. This helps my cholesterol. And they repeat that food again and again, every day, every lunch, every dinner. Here's one of the wisest lessons about nutrition in old age. What heals most isn't one particular food. It's variety, it's balance. The aging body needs rest, rotation, relief. It's not built to repeat the same thing always, nor to process the same compounds every day. What to do instead? Rather than searching for the perfect vegetable, the smartest approach is diversity. Eat different greens each week. Alternate among tubers, legumes, and cooked fruits. Listen to your body. If something bothers you, even if it's natural, maybe it's not for you. This isn't about fear. It's about maturity. About knowing that at this stage of life, health is more tied to the quality of what we eat than to the labels others give it. And yes, eggplant is a plant. Yes, it grows in the ground, but if your body doesn't tolerate it, then that plant stops being medicine and starts being poison. Which vegetables are safer and healthier after 60? After talking so much about what can harm us, here's a key question. What can we confidently eat after 60? Which vegetables remain friends of the aging body and not enemies in disguise? The good news is there are many options. This isn't about being afraid to eat, but about choosing wisely and kindly. Vegetables that don't irritate, that digest well, that provide essential nutrients, and above all, that support the natural process of aging. Here are some of the safest and healthiest. Zucchini. Zucchini is one of the gentlest vegetables for the digestive system. It has high water content, is low in calories, and is rich in soluble fiber, which helps keep things moving without causing bloating. Its mild flavor makes it easy to pair with other dishes. Ways to prepare it: steamed with a little olive oil, mashed with other vegetables, baked and stuffed with brown rice or legumes. Tip: if you peel it before cooking, it'll be even easier to digest for sensitive stomachs. Cooked carrot. Raw carrot is good, but cooked carrot is even better for older adults. When cooked, its fiber softens and its beta-carotene, a precursor to vitamin A, is absorbed more easily. It supports vision, improves skin, and helps the immune system. Simple ways to make it: steamed or boiled with a pinch of turmeric, as a puree with coconut oil or ghee, in gentle soups along with squash or leek. Advice: pair it with a small amount of healthy fat, like olive oil, to absorb its vitamins better. Steamed broccoli. Broccoli is a superfood, but it can also cause gas if eaten raw or overcooked. Ideally, steam it for a few minutes until tender but firm. That way it's more digestible and keeps its nutrients. Rich in fiber, antioxidants, and compounds that help prevent cellular aging, broccoli is especially good for the immune system and for protection against certain cancers. Avoid deep frying it or combining it with lots of fat, which makes it heavier. Asparagus. Asparagus is light, a natural diuretic, and very good for the kidneys. It provides folic acid, vitamin K, and a substance called glutathione, known for helping the body eliminate toxins. It's best steamed or grilled, without too many seasonings. Use it as a side in gentle soups or even in omelets. Important note: if you notice a strong smell in your urine after eating it, don't worry. That's normal and harmless. Extra tips for better nutrient absorption. Avoid heavy combinations. Vegetables with red meat or vegetables with cheese can slow digestion. It's better to pair vegetables with whole grains or legumes. Use healthy fats. A teaspoon of olive oil, coconut oil, or ghee helps the body absorb vitamins A, D, E, and K, which are fat-soluble. Don't eat the same vegetable every day. Even if something agrees with you, rotate. Eating the same thing constantly overburdens the body. Prefer gentle cooking, steaming, brief boiling, or low-heat sautéing. Harsh or prolonged cooking destroys nutrients and reduces the value of vegetables. Remember, the key isn't eliminating out of fear, but substituting with wisdom. If something doesn't agree with you, it doesn't mean you're left without options. It means you're maturing in your decisions and adapting to what your body truly needs today. If you have digestive or inflammatory problems, do this. Many older adults live with constant discomfort, bloating, gas, fatigue after eating, joint pain without an obvious cause. And though they get used to living with it, deep down, they know that's not normal. The problem is that in most cases it gets minimized. You hear, "That's part of aging. With the years, everything starts to fail. It is what it is." But the truth is, Many of these symptoms can be resolved, and the first step to relief begins in a very simple place: the kitchen. Here are some practical actions you can start applying today, especially if you have digestive or inflammatory issues. 1. Remove or reduce problematic vegetables. We've already talked about nightshades like eggplant, tomato, potato, or pepper, but every body is unique, and some people also react poorly to cabbage, poorly cooked broccoli, cauliflower, improperly soaked legumes, raw onions. The key? Observe. And if a food frequently causes gas, pain, or heaviness, give it a break. Cut that food for 3 weeks and see how your body changes. Many times, what you thought was your stomach or your age was just a food that didn't agree with you. 2. Add natural probiotics. Your gut doesn't just digest, it also protects, regulates the immune system, produces hormones, and even affects your mood. To work well, it needs a healthy flora. Probiotics are beneficial bacteria that help balance the gut. You don't need pricey supplements. You can start with natural options like plain yogurt with no sugar, kefir, a fermented dairy drink with high probiotic content, homemade sauerkraut, fermented pickles. Some people also do well with miso or tempeh. Start slowly. 1 tablespoon a day is enough at first, and if you're lactose intolerant, look for dairy-free or coconut-based versions. 3. Eat slower and chew better. It may sound simple, but it's one of the most powerful tips. Your digestion starts in your mouth. Many people eat in a rush, watching TV, distracted. They barely chew. That makes the stomach work twice as hard and sends poorly processed food to the intestines. Do this. Sit without distractions. Chew each bite between 20 and 30 times. Set your utensils down between bites. Breathe before eating. Your body will notice. Your digestion will improve. And you'll also eat less without trying. 4. Avoid fried foods. At 60 or 70, reheated oil becomes a silent enemy. Fried foods overburden the liver, irritate the gut, and raise overall inflammation. Opt instead for steaming, low-temperature baking, gentle sautéing with olive oil, slow simmered stews. This isn't about losing flavor, it's about changing how you cook. 5. Talk to your doctor without fear. Often, when we discuss diet with our doctors, they brush it off or say, it has nothing to do with it. But you know your body. You know what you feel. Don't stay quiet. At your appointment, you can clearly request an intolerance panel. Some labs offer this. A gut microbiome assessment. A review of medications that might be affecting digestion. You can also share your observations. Since I stopped eating eggplant, I'm less gassy. I've noticed yogurt improves my digestion. That's valuable information, and a good doctor will take it into account. Listen to your body before any advice. Every older adult has a unique story, genetics and metabolism. That's why no single tip works for everyone. The most important thing is to observe, take notes, and allow yourself to experiment with your food. You're not chasing a fad diet. You're seeking to live with less pain, more energy, and more clarity at this stage of life. And that starts with what you choose to put on your plate, the vegetable that was weakening me, and I didn't know it. When I began this video, I told you the story of an older person who ate a vegetable believing it was their ally, and who ended up weakening little by little without understanding why. That story is more common than it seems, because many of us, after 60, keep eating as if our bodies hadn't changed. But the truth is they have, and what used to strengthen you can now become a burden. We talked about eggplant and its solanine content, a substance that, although natural, can cause digestive problems, inflammation, and even interfere with certain medications in older adults. We also learned about nightshades in general, like tomato, pepper, or potato, and how moderating their intake can make a big difference in your everyday health. We saw that this isn't about eliminating out of fear, but about replacing with wisdom. Zucchini, cooked carrot, steamed broccoli, asparagus, foods that nourish without attacking. And we explored practical tips to improve digestion. Eating more slowly, using natural probiotics, avoiding fried foods, and above all, listening to your body. Because at this stage of life, it's not enough to eat what TV or old advice calls healthy. You have to eat intelligently, mindfully, and with respect for how your body is today. You're not sick because you're aging, you're learning to adapt, and that is one of the highest forms of wisdom. After 60, it's not just about eating well, it's about eating intelligently. If this video made you think, if it helped you see things from another perspective, help me get this message to more people. Share this video with friends, with family, or with an older person who still eats this vegetable without knowing the risks. Leave me your age and the country you're watching from in the comments. I love knowing where you're joining from. And tell me too, have you noticed that some foods you once tolerated now make you feel unwell? I'm very interested in reading your experiences, because here on this channel, we learn together, with respect, with curiosity, and with the desire to grow older with dignity, with energy, and with truth on the table.